is the first drink, he does so because he is in a circumstance where that drink would have afforded some numbing agent. You should know that your Lord was not avoiding pain. He was thoroughly embracing all of the pain and suffering that was necessary to fulfill redemption. However, this last one he does take oddly. Notice he says, I am thirsty, and in verse 29, a jar full of sour wine was standing there. So they put a sponge full of, notice, sour wine, one translation, sour vinegar, another translation. But notice what they placed it on, which gives us the historical concept and context. They placed it on hyssop. We are aware from Psalm 51, and we are aware from the ancient Near East, that hyssop was a plant that was used for cleaning or cleansing. However, this particular hyssop was handed to him by a Roman soldier, which makes it a distinct form of cleansing or cleaning. When you were going into the Roman regiment, and you would take upon yourself the responsibility of going out to service, they would give you certain instruments that were intended for your hygienic usage. They would, in fact, give you sour wine or vinegar so that you could have some sort of cleaning agent, and they would give you hyssop so that you could have something that is equivalent to modern-day tissue. He literally took that which he used and was given by Rome to clean his buttocks, put wine on it, and said, you refused the first one, you're a dead man anyway. Why don't you drink this? Jesus refused what numbed him, but Jesus accepted a bit of a drink from that which is the dirtiest form of the human being. But that's not the focus of our preachment. There's a great deal to go through. Jesus says, tetelestai. Tetelestai. This particular term is important for several reasons. Firstly, it is important because it is only mentioned twice in the entire New Testament. And of that, it is only mentioned in the Gospel of John. And of that, it is only mentioned in chapter 19. And of that, it is only mentioned within close proximity, verse 28 and verse number 30. What is the significance of this phrase that John emphasizes? He expresses one as the narrator when Jesus knew that all things had been tetelestai, and then in the mouth of Jesus as the person accomplishing the act, he places these very words, or this very word tetelestai. What does this mean? If we were to simply develop this contextually, if we were simply to develop this lexically, if we were simply to develop this grammatically, we would underpreach the term tetelestai. How is this used is our question. We must look philologically. Philologically. A philological look at a term is to suggest that it can be used one way within the grammar or within the lexical value which is presented in the context. However, we must raise the question, how is it used in the oral tradition? How do they use it regularly? Secondarily, not only how do they use it in the oral tradition, how do they use it in ancient Near Eastern literature? How did they employ the term in ancient literature? Firstly, in ancient Near Eastern literature about the time of Jesus, during the time of the Greco-Roman Empire, this term was used concerning servants. Servants. When your servant was under your employ, when they were under your responsibility, when you would give your servant a task, it was the responsibility of the servant and indeed the culpability. Not only was the servant given a task, but they would be held responsible or culpable for the task that they either did or did not do, to the point of punishment or reward. The servant would be sent by the master to do a task. And the servant was instructed that he or she was not in fact to come back or return at all until the task had been finished. And upon the completion of the task, the servant would then come before the master, bow before his master who sent him on the task, and he would declare, Tetelestai, I have finished all that you sent me to do. Jesus Christ is the ultimate servant of God, who was sent to Bethlehem, Ephratah, to the place of the flock, according to Micah chapter 5, verse 2 and 4, verse 8. He was sent on a task and was on that task for 33 and a half years and did not even attempt to re-enter